The Roman emperor had a secret morning ritual that changed everything. Before the sun rose over the chaotic heart of Rome, while the grand stone palaces were still wrapped in silence, the most powerful man in the known world would sit alone in the dim glow of an oil lamp. He was not reviewing military maps, nor was he counting the gold in the imperial treasury. Instead, he opened a private journal, picked up a pen, and began a quiet war against his own weaknesses. Outside his door, an entire empire demanded his attention, plagued by deadly pandemics, endless wars on distant frontiers, betrayal by close friends, and the crushing weight of absolute responsibility. Yet before he could govern millions of citizens, Marcus Aurelius knew he had to govern his own mind. He practiced a hidden discipline, a timeless mental armor designed not to conquer kingdoms, but to conquer fear, anxiety, and despair. It is a system of inner strength so profound that it can instantly transform how you experience your greatest modern struggles. If you have ever felt overwhelmed by a toxic workplace, deeply hurt by a sudden betrayal, or paralyzed by the uncertainty of your future, the words this emperor wrote in the dark were meant for you. We are about to uncover the exact mental keys that kept him unshakable, principles that will allow you to walk through the modern storms of criticism, failure, and emotional pain with absolute calm. Listen closely, because the insights ahead build upon one another, each layer revealing a deeper secret to human resilience, culminating in a perspective shift that changes everything. Imagine standing at the peak of human authority, where a single nod of your head can alter history, yet realizing that you are completely powerless over the things that matter most to your peace of mind. Marcus Aurelius looked out at his vast empire and saw a profound truth that most people spend their entire lives running away from. He realized that the world is divided into two distinct realms, the things we can control and the things we cannot. Much of our modern suffering, the exhausting anxiety that keeps us awake at 3 a.m, does not come from the events of our lives, but from our desperate, agonizing resistance to this truth. We burn massive amounts of emotional energy trying to force external circumstances to conform to our desires. Think of the bitter frustration that boils up inside you when you are caught in a massive traffic jam, or when a sudden company layoff ruins your career plans, or when someone leaves an incredibly cruel, unfair comment on your social media profile. The natural human reaction is to rage against the universe, to demand to know why this is happening to you. But the emperor, sitting in his tent on a freezing battlefield, would remind himself that the traffic, the economy, and the opinions of malicious people belong entirely to the external world. They are like the weather. You cannot command the rain to stop, and screaming at the clouds will only leave you wet and exhausted. True mental freedom begins the exact moment you consciously choose to stop investing your soul into things you cannot change. When you stop trying to control how other people treat you, how the market behaves, or what the future holds, a strange and beautiful stillness takes over. You begin to realize that while you have zero control over the external event itself, you possess absolute, unassailable control over how you choose to respond to it. This is the ultimate fortress of the human spirit. If a colleague insults your character at work, their words are merely vibrations in the air, completely powerless until you invite them into your mind and allow them to hurt you. If you experience a devastating financial setback, the loss of money is a factual reality, but the belief that your life is ruined is a narrative you are choosing to write. Marcus Aurelius constantly challenged himself to strip away the dramatic stories we tell ourselves about our problems. He looked at a crisis and broke it down to its bare, objective facts. By focusing entirely on your own actions, your own kindness, and your own integrity, you reclaim your power from the world. You realize that no one can force you to be angry, no one can force you to be bitter, and no one can degrade your character without your consent. But how do we maintain this absolute calm when our emotions feel like a violent storm tearing through our chest? The emperor knew that the greatest threat to a man's freedom is not an invading army, but his own unexamined impulses. He observed that humans are often slaves to their own inner feelings, reacting instantly to anger, fear, jealousy, and resentment like puppets pulled by invisible strings. When someone hurts us, our immediate instinct is to strike back, to let our rage consume us, believing that our rage is a sign of strength. Marcus Aurelius saw it differently. He understood that wild, uncontrolled anger is not a display of power, but a confession of weakness. It is a sign that the external world has successfully broken through your defenses and stolen your peace. He viewed emotions not as enemies to be violently suppressed, but as internal smoke alarms, signals meant to be observed with deep curiosity rather than acted upon with impulsive panic. Picture a moment in your own life when a wave of pure frustration washed over you, perhaps during a heated argument with someone you love deeply, or when a project you worked on for months suddenly collapsed due to someone else's negligence. In that exact microsecond, before you speak, before you slam a door, before you let the venom spill out, there is a tiny, sacred space. That space is where your destiny is decided. The emperor trained himself to live within that brief pause. Instead of drowning in the emotion, he would step back and watch it pass like a man standing safely on the shore, watching a wild river rush by. He reminded himself that the consequences of our anger are almost always far more damaging than the things that made us angry in the first place. A single word spoken in a fit of rage can destroy a relationship built over decades. A reckless decision made in a moment of panic can alter the trajectory of a career forever. By developing the discipline of the pause, you refuse to let your emotions dictate your actions. You become the steady, unmoving center of the cyclone. You listen to the fear or the anger, you acknowledge its presence, and then you quietly ask yourself what the most rational, honorable version of you should do next. This emotional mastery does not make you cold or robotic. Rather, it grants you a profound, dignified depth of character that draws people to you when their own worlds are falling apart. As you begin to master the space between stimulus and response, you unlock an even deeper secret about human existence. The world we see is not reality itself, but a mirror of our own minds. Marcus Aurelius famously noted that our life is what our thoughts make it. He realized that nothing is inherently good or bad in the external world. It is our perception, our internal labeling system that gives events their color and weight. Two people can look at the exact same situation and experience two completely different realities. Consider the devastating experience of losing a job you have held for years. One person might view this as an absolute catastrophe, an insurmountable tragedy that defines them as a total failure, falling into a deep pit of depression and self-pity. Another person facing the exact same layoff might choose to see it as a painful but necessary awakening, a sudden breaking of chains that forces them to finally pursue a long-forgotten passion or build their own business. The external event is identical, but the internal reality is worlds apart. The emperor actively trained his mind to be an alchemist, turning every obstacle into an opportunity for growth. He wrote that the mind adapts and converts any obstacle to its action, so that a hindrance to our work becomes a help, and what stands in the way becomes the way. Imagine how your life would change if you truly adopted this mindset. When an unexpected crisis knocks you down, instead of crying out against your bad luck, you choose to ask a different set of questions. What is this difficulty trying to teach me? What hidden strength is this problem forcing me to develop? If you are facing a painful romantic rejection, perhaps it is an opportunity to cultivate a deep, independent sense of self-worth that does not rely on the validation of others. If you are dealing with a difficult, agonizingly ungrateful boss, perhaps they are the perfect gym equipment for your patience and diplomacy skills. By changing your perception, you strip away the victim mindset that keeps so many people trapped in perpetual sorrow. You realize that the universe is not working against you. It is simply providing the raw, unfiltered material out of which you must forge an unbreakable character. You stop wishing for an easy life and start wishing for the strength to endure a difficult one, knowing that a smooth sea never made a skilled sailor. Yet, shifting your perception is meaningless without the relentless fire of self-discipline and personal responsibility. The emperor ruled an empire, but his greatest daily battle was simply getting out of his warm bed in the morning. In one of the most relatable passages of his journal, he describes arguing with himself beneath the blankets, wishing he could stay in the comfortable warmth away from the cold, demanding world outside. But he would shake off the temptation of comfort by reminding himself that he was made for action, that his purpose was to do the work of a human being. In our modern world, we are drowning in an ocean of instant gratification, endless digital distractions, and a culture that tells us to always wait until we feel motivated before we take action. We delay our dreams, we succumb to laziness, and we make elaborate excuses for why we cannot exercise, why we cannot finish that book, or why we cannot fix our broken habits. Marcus Aurelius knew that waiting for motivation is a trap designed by a weak mind. Greatness is not born from massive, heroic leaps of faith. It is constructed through the quiet, repetitive, often boring choices we make every single day when no one is watching. It is choosing the difficult task over the easy distraction, choosing the healthy meal over the quick dopamine hit, choosing to show up and do the work even when you are tired, discouraged, and completely uninspired. The emperor believed that true self-discipline is an act of ultimate self-respect. When you break promises to yourself, when you succumb to procrastination and laziness, you are quietly telling your own subconscious that your goals do not matter, that your word is worthless. To build an unbreakable mind, you must become your own master. You must accept total, radical responsibility for the current state of your life, refusing to blame your parents, your past, or your environment for your current failures. You take control of the present moment, understanding that your future is being built brick by brick right now by the small choices you are making in this very second. This relentless drive to act with purpose becomes incredibly urgent when you confront the most profound, beautiful, and deeply misunderstood truth of Stoicism. Throughout his writings, Marcus Aurelius kept a metaphorical skull on his desk, constantly whispering a phrase to himself. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. This practice of mortality awareness is not a dark, depressing meditation designed to make you cynical or sad. It is quite the opposite. It is the ultimate antidote to human anxiety, a brilliant lens that instantly clarifies what truly matters. We live our lives as if we have thousands of years to spare, wasting precious days on trivial arguments, holding on to bitter grudges against people who have wronged us, and obsessing over the shallow opinions of strangers we do not even respect. We put off our happiness, telling ourselves we will enjoy our lives once we get the promotion, once we buy the house, or once we finally retire. But when you truly sit with the reality that your existence is a tiny, fragile spark in an infinite cosmic ocean, and that your next breath is never guaranteed, the illusions of modern life completely shatter. How can you stay angry at a family member over a petty disagreement when you realize that either of you could be gone by tomorrow morning? How can you paralyze yourself with fear over public speaking or social awkwardness when you realize that all the people you are trying to impress will soon be dust in the ground? Remembering your own mortality strips away the heavy vanity, the pride, and the trivial anxieties that clutter your spirit. It fills you with a profound, aching gratitude for the present moment. The cup of coffee you are drinking right now becomes a miracle. The simple sight of a sunset becomes an extraordinary gift. The opportunity to hug someone you love becomes a sacred experience. It creates a beautiful sense of urgency to live fully, to love deeply, and to act with absolute integrity right now without wasting another precious second of your finite time on earth. When you weave these principles together, when you accept what you cannot control, master your emotional responses, transform your obstacles into fuel, claim total responsibility for your actions, and live in the vibrant awareness of your own mortality, something magnificent happens inside you. You begin to build an inner citadel, a fortress of the soul that no external storm can ever tear down. You realize that an unbreakable mind is not a rare genetic gift bestowed upon a lucky few. It is a deliberate, daily creation. It is a path walked by an ancient Roman emperor in the quiet hours of the morning, and it is a path that is entirely open to you right now, in this very moment. You do not need an empire to rule. You have the greatest kingdom of all to conquer, the empire within your own chest. If this message spoke to you, don't let it end here. Share it with someone who may need these words today. And if you're ready to continue your journey into timeless Stoic wisdom, subscribe to Wisdom of Stoic and join a community dedicated to mastering the mind, strengthening the character, and living with purpose. Until next time, remember, the strongest fortress you will ever build is the one within yourself.